All right, guys, we're going to get into the next series of lessons, and we're going to start talking about pricing. What do you actually charge your customer? Very important, and you should know there are variables that change the cost, but I'm going to give you the basic pricing that you could and should be using when you're dealing with residential customers for pressure washing, okay? Some of the main variables you have to think with is where you're doing pressure washing. So if you're doing pressure washing in Florida or Texas, well, these are fairly competitive areas. You can clean 12 months of the year, and a lot of guys like to do it here. So the numbers go a little bit below what I'm about to give you. If you're doing pressure washing in any other part of the United States, everything I'm telling you right now is about correct. If you're doing it in Europe or some other country, these prices go up a little bit because it's less competitive. But basically, the numbers you're going to have here will be in a spreadsheet form or paper form that you'll get as part of the course. And you're going to be using something called a CRM. So that stands for Customer Relationship Management Software. And that's going to streamline, make it very simple for you to come up with quotes, but you're going to basically be using what I tell you in this lesson for the numbers, okay? And the numbers are going to go up and down depending on the job here and there. Okay, first thing to know is what is the square footage that you're dealing with. So how do you find that out? Well, it's pretty easy. You go to something called Google and you type in the address, right? So here's a made up address, 555 doesn't exist street. And then you say Zillow. You press enter and you got your square footage right there. Typically, you should know that the garage is not included in that square footage, so you can always add something like 200 to 300 square foot. But generally, you just go with what's there, and then you have your numbers to work with. Okay? So we're going to start with roofs. So roofs, let's start with tile. But generally, roofs are going to be 20 to 25 cents per square foot. There's a few variables when it comes to roofs. So, is it a shingle? Is it a tile? Is it a white tile? What is the slope? Does it have gutters? And how dirty is it? So, a shingle roof is going to lean towards the lower end. We're talking about 20 cents per square foot. Tile is a little bit higher. It's about 22 cents a square foot. White tile is the highest because some guys don't even want to clean them. They don't know how. But we're going to show you in this course. It's about 24 cents per square foot. Slope is a big deal. You don't want to get on a roof that's too steep because you could fall. Insurance goes up. You know, if it's too steep, you don't step on that roof. You use a lift, but we'll go over that in a future video. How dirty is it? If it's very, very black, then the price goes up. If you're just starting out in business, you kind of want to win bids. You don't want to like outprice yourself out of work. You want to work. So, but if it's all black, add $200 to the price. Once you're experienced, add $400. But know that a completely black roof is going to have cracks under that blackness because, they didn't keep their roof up. So you can even charge much higher if you want, if the roof is a total disaster. But that's some ground rules to keep in mind. If they do have gutters, that's a plus for you because it's going to take all of the soft wash chem and run it down the downspouts. It's going to save you a lot of work. So that brings the price a little bit more down. And then the last thing you have to remember is how many tiers. Is it a 2-story roof, a 3-story? On 2, I would multiply the number by 1.25. On a 3-tier, I would multiply the number by 1.5. And, because it's more dangerous, it's more work to get the hose all the way up there. But we're not really going to cover that in this course. We're talking about single tier roofs, relatively simple. And I'm not really going to show you how to do those more dangerous roofs, but we're going to cover the simple ones. So for our purposes here, we'll just keep that multiplier to just 1, okay? Obviously, the overall size of the roof matters. If it's a very big, luxurious house, over $1 million, $2 million, you can add 30%, something in between, add 20% because, these people, they would have money to have a big house like that. They're willing to invest in keeping it perfect. So you can think with that. And that's basically on roofs, and that covers shingle roofs as well. Okay, so shingles, a little bit easier to clean, lower end of about 20 cents a square foot. Next, you have the house itself. So if you're just cleaning just the house, you're not worried about the roof, but you're cleaning that, and that's what you're pricing, then basically what you're looking at is you take the square footage of the house and you take a 0 off, and that's how much it is. Okay, so it's as simple as that. 2,400 square foot home, $240 to soft wash it. You're not going to use a lot of pressure on that wood or vinyl. All right, and if you come back with, well, I used to have a guy that did it for $99. Okay, good. So they did it for $99. Why don't you just use them? Well, they're gone. Why are they gone? They're out of business. You can't stay in business for $99 on a house wash. So, and these guys, if they're doing it really cheap, your mindset, don't make enemies. Just become their friend, take their business card, and if they go out of business, you buy their customer list. Okay? You can even buy some of their equipment. It's okay. But know that you won't really stay in business if you price too low either. You have overhead. You have might have an employee. You might have insurance that has to cover a certain job or something like that. So keep that in mind. And don't ever go below, I would say, $250 with inflation nowadays. Other areas it would be higher, probably maybe $300. But that's about what you would price for just the house itself. And you add all these together. You kind of want to get all of them together in a bundle, but we'll talk about that in just a second. Commercial roof cleaning is another course. It's a different animal. You need different equipment. Obviously, the price goes up, but you should know if you do get very large commercial jobs, don't shy away from them. Go ahead and see if you can figure it out. But per square footage, the price goes down. Your equipment costs go up, and you should be able to do very large areas quickly. It's, as I said, it's a different job, but keeping something like this up, which is totally white, that's going to get dirty. For instance, for a very large roof, commercial, it's going to be about 15 to 20 cents per square foot. But they're big surface areas, so it's bigger amounts of money. But we'll get into that in the next course. Let's talk about driveways. Driveways are very competitive because customers, they think they can clean their own driveway, and they leave a lot of streaks, and they don't soft wash, and you can't get rid of the grease. So you got to do a little bit on sales on here for your sake and their sake. But generally, it's about 10 cents a square foot. There's guys that will do this stuff for $60. Personally, I would never go below a $200 job for anything. I mean, you're bringing your equipment out there, but try to get at least if you're going to do the driveway, try to get the sidewalk and the entranceway or something else. So make it worth your while and their while. Okay. But yeah, I would go like 150, but add something to it. Don't just do only that. All right. Sidewalks generally $60, so that'll get you up to 200 at least. And if there are bigger sidewalks, you go more than 60. All right. Good. So now pool cages are a little bit more a Florida thing. That's your sidewalks. Pool cages are more of a Florida thing. I do them for maybe 120. It's very competitive here, and they're a lot of work, so they're not always that profitable. If you do the pool cage, you have to do the patio, and sometimes you have to move furniture, you have to protect foliage, it can get damaged from the chemical. So I would say, you're looking at 240 to do the patio and the pool cage together. Obviously, if they're very black or dirty, or you got to move a ton of furniture, you add to that price. Um, Gutter cleaning, generally 120, but it varies. If it's very easy to do, not a lot of gutters, you go below that. And remember, like if you have something as bad as this, then you charge extra. And that's the same for any roof, any house. If it's a disaster zone, you charge extra. You know, um, it's going to be more work for you, and it'll look that much better when you're done. So you just charge for it. But ultimately, you want to bundle. You want to do everything. When you're quoting, you're thinking of doing the whole driveway, the whole roof, the whole house. That way, they're happy, you're happy, everything stays clean, and when it comes time to clean again, you do it all in one go. And you should be trying to get, I would say, $1,000 days, right? You can discount $100, $200, $300 if you bundle everything together, but try to get those $1,000 days as soon as you can. Again, it depends a little bit on your area, but Florida, Texas might be harder. Different areas of the world, it'll be, depending on where you live, harder or easier. But generally, you can bundle a house and do everything. For this house, probably be more than 1,000. But right about there is what you're going for. You can offer to clean the windows, sort of rinse them, which will cover. Specialty cleans are another thing. Rust removal does not come out with pressure or soft wash. Sometimes it's easier just to paint it because what cleans rust is kind of dangerous. We're going to cover all that. But yeah, bundle everything. Just bundle everything, get it into one go. And it's good for you because, you can do one job that day. You don't have to drive around. They'll have an entirely brand new space to live in. They're going to be very happy. You get that Google review. So, but that's the basics for pricing. So we'll put that on one paper for you to have, and we'll put that into your CRM, your customer relationship manager software, which we'll cover soon. And there you go. That's the basics on pricing. Okay. Now, it's no value if you can't close the customer, though. Doesn't really matter, does it? So, how do you close the customer? Well, we're going to cover the basics on sales next, so stay tuned.